Hi, this is Ruth Royal from Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm really pleased to be talking to Helen Yap today, who's Marketing and Communications Manager at Future Pump. Hello, Helen, lovely to meet you.
Hi, lovely to meet you too.
So, Helen, first of all, tell us a bit about Future Pump and what you do.
Yeah, so Future Pump is a manufacturer of solar-powered irrigation pumps for small-scale farmers in typically tropical countries, so Africa
Wow.
and Asia. So we have our headquarters in the UK, that's where I'm based, but a lot of our work happens in India, where we have a factory, and in Kenya we did a lot of field testing, and then we sell all across Africa and Asia.
That is absolutely amazing. I had no idea of that at all. So, tell us a bit about the different sort of the jobs that people do at Future Pump and the skills that they need, because it seems to me that's probably quite complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. So we're a startup company, or we certainly were. We've been running for 10 years now, so we are still small, but we have, as I said, teams across the different parts, India, Kenya, and the UK, and it was designed in the Netherlands as well. So quite an international team. And in the UK, there's just 7 of us. So it's very small here. So the sort of we have, if I'm thinking about our UK office, we have the marketing department, so me and my colleague, and then we have another colleague in India as well. We have the accounts department here, and then just generally sort of management and sort of the direction, strategy, and sales. Whereas India is product development, testing, and the manufacture. So there's different areas really, and by being a startup, we all get involved in everything. I think
Oh, wow.
that's the best bit of, or the thing I find the best bit about being in a startup. So yes, nominally I'm marketing and communications manager, but I can have opinions on research development, where we want to go, anything like that. So
Wow.
yeah.
And so with the and with the pumps themselves, do you sort of saying about like the product design in India?
Yeah.
How do you sort of take the direction from the UK and get that out to India and other places around the world?
Yeah, so a lot of WhatsApp and a lot of phone calls and video calls and everything. So we were doing online meetings before it was cool with COVID. So we were quite ahead of the game, I guess, with that, because a lot of work we have meetings with people all the time. We're constantly communicating. So there's a lot of back and forth with that. And then it's trips out to India. One of my colleagues just got back from a visit to the factory, so that helps us a lot as well, just to get information back and forth. And then we work with distribution partners across the countries where we're selling the product. So they're always speaking to customers and getting feedback, and then sharing it with us as well. So it's just a lot. Communication is a massive part, and I think that's the same with every business, but especially small businesses. It's like everyone's involved in just making sure that everything gets communicated really well across all the different areas.
So tell us about a sort of a typical day in the life of Helen
Yeah.
at Future Pump. And I guess from what you're saying, it's quite broad. Lots of things might happen, but it'd be really interesting to sort of understand the format of your day.
Yeah. So yeah, every day is different. But we usually start off with me checking in with my colleagues. So one is based in Edinburgh and one is based in India, my direct team. So we'll check in with each other, see what's been happening and what we need to be working on. Then we sort of head off on our own tasks. So a lot of the stuff that I do is looking at what we should be doing, where we should be marketing. Are there any opportunities with our distributors? And talking to them, and then trying to figure out with my team that I have here what we can do to support those distributors. I do quite a lot of work on the product manuals and documents and data sheets, and always keeping those up to date as well, which seems to be a sort of relentless task that keeps coming. And at the moment we're working on new packaging designs for the pumps, so that's working with the team in India to get them out to the packaging manufacturer as well. So there's lots of bits and bobs like that. And then we also have started selling pumps directly in the UK, which is a trial that we're doing at the moment, or selling from the UK hub here. So some days it involves also sticking labels on pumps and sending them out the door. So that's a new element of my role at the moment. But that's one of those things that, because we're a startup and we're trying it out, that it's all hands on deck. If a pump needs to be sent to someone and someone's around and able to do it, we'll jump in and do that too. So yeah,
I love the variety of that. That sounds really
yeah,
interesting in terms of what you do, how that could be just so different all the time.
yeah. And I mean, for me, that was, I worked in a bigger company where I had a more, I guess, a specific role, and felt that that didn't work with my personality. I quite like having lots of different things on the go, and also just not just different tasks within one job, but yeah, the variety just works really well with my personality. And I always thought that that meant I wasn't focused in on something, and that you have to focus hard and be the best at the one specific thing. But I've come to realize, actually, being able to pick up lots of different things, jump in on them, have ideas, and then share where that is and communicate that across, that is actually really important in what I currently do.
So how did you end up in your current role? What's been your journey?
So I'm actually an environmental scientist by background. So I studied at UEA, did environmental science in Norwich, and then wanted to get into sustainable buildings. So I then went and did a graduate scheme at the Building Research Establishment, which is all about the built environment and
Oh,
sustainability. And then, well, actually, that skipped over me doing an internship at Future Pump when I just graduated. So I did 3 months of playing with water pumps over the summer, and that was before the business had really kicked off. So there wasn't a role here yet, but that seemed like a fun summer to do after university. Then I went and did my graduate scheme, and then when I was coming towards the end of that graduate scheme there, and that was where I was feeling maybe a bit more like a cog in a machine, and not having it just didn't feel quite fit with what I thought it was going to be. The managing director from Future Pump, she called me up and said, we've got a grant in and we're able to, there's a role here now, would you like to come back and join us? And that was nearly 7 years ago now.
wow.
So that was kind of, I guess it came from sort of trying to figure out where I wanted to be, but also making connections and staying. I was always keeping an eye on what Future Pump was up to, and kind of kept that communication there just in case there was a role that ever came up, and it did. So it feels like, I think a lot of people say it feels like luck, but it also, you kind of can make a bit of luck by continually just being there, keeping an eye
Yeah,
on what's going on, and
I really like
being
that
open to
expression
things.
that luck is preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because you can just say, well, I didn't do anything, but actually, I guess I wasn't just sitting there hoping a job came to me. I spotted that Future Pump's website had been updated, and just sent a little message saying, looks like you're doing really well, and just kind of stayed there a
Yeah,
little bit in their minds. And yeah,
networking.
yeah. And then within Future Pump, my role has then completely changed, because when I started out doing the environmental science, it was more monitoring and evaluation, and looking at, we'd not really sold any pumps, so it was trying to figure out who would maybe want them, and they were doing the field testing, and it was grant writing and reporting on those kind of things. Then we started selling, and there became a need to be doing marketing. And because I'd done a lot of work with customers and writing case studies and getting that data, then it sort of made sense for me to fill that gap. So that's how I moved within the company as well.
What sort of personal qualities do you think you have that have kind of, because we've obviously talked a bit about like your hard skills and sort of how you develop those like through your career journey. What sort of personal qualities do you think that you've had that have made you sort of good at your job?
I'd say communication, but from the sort of listening side and being aware of who needs to know what and when. I it's always kind of joked within the company that I'm the one who knows everything that's going on in all the different places. And maybe that's just I'm just a bit nosy, but I'm always listening in and thinking, I don't think that the sales guy necessarily knows that this product development thing is happening that I've heard from the factory, so I'll let them know. So it's the communication is a huge one, but also I think a willingness to learn. So certainly within a small company, there's not necessarily a training path that goes like you come in and you do the management training and you do this and you do that. You kind of have to, I've learned that you have to figure out what you think you might need to learn and then go and find out how to learn it and then learn it, and then we all learn together as well. We always say that none of us really necessarily know the answer, so it's kind of being able to go out and learn and want to learn that, without it being necessarily given as like this is what you should know.
That sort of natural curiosity, I think, is something that's really
Yeah.
interesting and something that probably happens a lot in organisations. But we don't. I really like how you've articulated that, because it's not something that people sort of dwell on. But you're absolutely right, sort of working out how to fix something.
And where I used to work when it was the graduate scheme, it was sort of set out on paper. Here is your journey, and when I moved away from that, I thought, well, now I don't have a path, I don't have a career path, I don't know where I'm heading. And then I realized, well, that means you have to sort of work that out as you go along, really. And that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that actually sometimes, ambiguity, people can make that feel like, oh, it's a it's a problem, but actually it's just a challenge, isn't it? It's just sort of something, but it also gives the opportunity to sort of take something in your own hands and mold it. And I guess I'm really interested to know, Helen, as well, if you were to go back and have a conversation with your younger self about careers, what do you think you would tell, Helen starting out on her journey?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, so I'm pretty happy with where I am now, and so I think part of it would just be reassurance. Like it might feel like you're not quite sure where you're going, but you'll get there. But also it's just the taking opportunities. So with the job I'm currently in, there was the opportunity to travel, to Kenya, to India, and actually that was something that was a bit daunting to me. I'd not done that before, but instead of saying no because of being a bit worried about that, that's a great part of my job at the moment. So
Wow.
I think that's just like, yeah, there are opportunities there, and just saying yes to opportunities, figuring out what opportunities people have already, what other people are doing, is just really helpful. And I think also that you can change your mind on what you're doing. Like, I know that I've been at Future Pump now for 7 years, but I feel like my job has changed quite a lot within that time. But I know from my friends who are the same age as me, some of them have completely changed what they're doing, and that's fine. You just sort of learn something else, get into that, and I think, yeah, if you don't have to follow that exact path, I think is the one. But yeah, just talk to people. I think that's what I learned to do. Just talk about what I'm currently doing, what I want to do, and opportunities sort of can appear.
Oh, I think that's a fantastic message. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, it's been lovely to speak to you too.